Hey guys, DJ12 here and welcome back to another episode of 2wlv's Kitchen. So the weekend is here, right? And if you're anything like me, you give a big 2 thumbs down to cooking on the weekend, right? I mean, like, you worked all week, you just want to relax, you just want to chill. Well, I've got a recipe that's not only tasty, fulfilling, utterly satisfying, it's also a cinch to whip up, provided you're prepared ahead of time, of course. So come on back to see what it is. I can't wait to show you. This is 2wlv's Kitchen. I'm DJ12. Let's get it started. Welcome back. So, as we alluded to in the open, weekend comes and you're just tired. You just don't feel like making anything hearty, nutritious, good for you. And I must admit, like myself, the majority of the times I would order takeout were always on the weekends. Like always on the weekends, definitely. I would also order food during the week too. I mean, 4 or 5 days a week I was ordering food. Takeout or online or whatever. And so, you know, the weekend comes, especially Saturday. So like tonight it's Saturday. It's going on Saturday night right now, right? As I'm filming this. And I have a live stream DJ show that I do every Saturday night starting at 9 p.m. Pacific. And so on Saturdays I just want to kind of like relax, kind of chill, just, you know, vibe out. You know, as I'm thinking about the tunes I want to play for my 3-hour set on Saturday night. By the way, if you ever want to catch that set, shameless plug is what I'm doing right here. If you ever want to catch that set, you can go to Mixcloud, MixCloud.com/DJ12. That's DJ2, my ASL, 2wlv's. And you can catch my live shows. I do a live DJ set Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. All times 9 p.m. Pacific. And Friday and Saturdays I do 3-hour sets. Tuesday and Thursday is just an hour and a half. All that to say, when it comes to Saturday, I don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. But I do also want something good because I need fuel to be on my feet at my my workstation, my turntables, to be on my feet for 3+ hours, all right? So I want something good, something hearty, something nutritious, right? But I also don't want to spend too much time in the kitchen. And that's why we are here. This whole series is dedicated to meal prep. And basically, the more planned out you are ahead of time, the more organized you are ahead of time, making all the preparations prior to actually getting in the kitchen and doing the physical cooking, this stuff is always a breeze. Like, it's always a breeze to me. Like, yeah, I love cooking. I've always loved cooking ever since I was a little boy, learning at my mother's and my grandmother's feet in the kitchen. But, you know, I also like leisure time as well. And I just don't like to spend, as much as I love cooking, I don't like to spend a great amount of time, a great deal of time in the kitchen. So, what we're going to do tonight is a simple blackened salmon with a side of roasted asparagus to go with that. Like I said, nice, hearty, delicious, nutritious, the whole 9 yards, the whole Magilla. We got it for you right now on 2wlv's Kitchen. So, as always, I'm going to give you a peek at my mise en place so you can see just how easy it is to put this together as long as you're properly prepared. All right? Take a look. All right. If I haven't said it before, I'll say it again for the first time. You know how serious 12 is about his mise en place, getting everything ready and squared up, ready to go, so that we can do this as efficiently as possible. So I got all my ingredients laid out here, my utensils, got my baking sheet with some parchment paper. That's what we're going to roast the asparagus on. And we got our heavy duty cast iron skillet. Because if you're blackening any kind of protein, you definitely want to use a heavy cast iron skillet. You can blacken in anything, but the cast iron works the best. So as you can see, mise en place, ready to go. We ready to rock, y'all. So I'm going to just go ahead and just get right into this right here. You heard me? DJ 12, come on back. All right, so we are going to get started on the asparagus first. Really quick to throw this together and get it ready to roast. So I got some asparagus in a bowl here. As you can see, these are pretty narrow, pretty skinny. So they're not going to take very much time to actually roast up in the oven. I could also blanch these and then saute them or anything like that. But I would rather, at this point, I would rather roast these tonight. So that's what we're going to do with these veggies here. So I'm just going to get a little olive oil. Just going to drizzle a little olive oil over them, and then you're going to just toss these lightly in the olive oil and get them spread out onto the baking sheet. Just work it around a little bit. Get them nice and coated. See there? Got a nice little sheen on them, if you can tell. All right, and so then we're going to just throw these down on our baking sheet with the parchment paper. You can also use foil paper, or you can put these in like a glass roasting dish, something like that. You want to spread them out fairly evenly. Make sure they got enough room to breathe. I got a whole bunch of these. I'm going to make something tomorrow that I'm going to use a remainder for, but I'm cooking for myself tonight, so I only need a few. I got 12 asparagus. And also remember, with the asparagus, you do want to cut off the fibrous end. I've already cut off the fibrous end of these because the tail ends of these are very, very fibrous and very hard to digest. So you want to make sure once you get your asparagus out of the bunch and rinse and all of that, you want to give them a nice chop at the very end to get rid of that fibrous part that is not quite digestible. You can digest it, but you know, I mean, may take a little while for you to fully digest that really tough, hard, fibrous end of the asparagus. So we have the asparagus on the baking sheet, as you can see. So all we're going to do is just hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just a little bit of salt and pepper. Just a little bit of salt and pepper. And again, these are pretty skinny, so you don't have to season them very heavily. You can season them heavenly as well. A little bit of black pepper. All right, and we're going to set these to the side, as these are probably only going to take about as long to roast in the oven as it's going to take for us to blacken our salmon. So we're going to set this to the side, and we're going to pop this in the oven right as we start to heat up our cast iron to blacken our salmon. All right? All right, so we're back, and we are now going to start tackling the preparation for our blackened salmon. So, what is blackening? Blackening is a process in which you create a very distinctive, dark, and in this case, a black crust on whatever protein you're using. Now, blackening works for any protein. You can blacken steak, you can blacken chicken, fish, veggies, shrimp, almost anything you like. I actually started blackening experimenting with blackening proteins roughly about 6-8 months ago or so, and I found that I really liked the flavor profile that it created. The very first thing I blackened was some chicken breast. I went ahead and blackened it, cut it up and put it in the salad. So there are a number of different applications you can use to blacken your fish. So a couple of things we're going to start with. As always, we want our protein to be room temperature, padded dry, all right? In this case, you don't, well, actually, I'm sorry. Always pat your protein dry. I was going to say in this case, you don't want to, but actually, yes, you do, because you're going to be using very hot oil to blacken this fish, and you don't want it to have any more moisture than it needs to in order for you not to get any splatter out of the pan when you're blackening the fish. Okay, so the other two components that we need for blackening are butter. In this case, I'm using ghee, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then blackening spice. All right, so I use my own blackening spice that I've kind of created and experimented with over the past couple of years. By all means, you can purchase blackening spice wherever blackening spices are sold, in your local department store, grocery store, wherever. You can get your own blackening spice. My blackening spice consists of, if you want to piggyback off my recipe, I use 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, also a teaspoon each of salt and pepper, as well as a teaspoon and a half of dried Italian seasoning. That usually has oregano, basil, thyme, and rosemary. Those are great components to creating a blackening spice. So you can play around with those different spices. You can choose your own. Oh, I'm sorry. I also use about a half a teaspoon of cumin too. Gives it a real nice smoky element. And you just want to, put these in a little dish, a little bowl, kind of mix them all together. I also like to, with the Italian seasoning, use a mortar and pestle to kind of grind them out a little bit more into like a bit of a more of a fine powder. As all the other ingredients are fine powder. So that's our blackening spice, and we're going to talk a little bit about the ghee. All right, ghee. What ghee is in this case, all it is clarified butter. Okay, clarified butter means that the water molecules have been removed from the actual butter itself, so that you get basically pure fat. Pure fat means you get to cook it at a higher smoke point. So instead of regular butter, you put the butter in the pan, it melts down, you have it too high, it's going to scorch. Well, in this case, this just basically becomes vegetable oil. But in this case, it's animal fat oil, right? Pure animal fat. So we're going to use the ghee to pan-sear our chicken, but also to, pan-sear and blacken, our salmon. But we're also going to use it as a seasoning element, as a component as well. So I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to brush this salmon on all sides with the ghee. Now, there are 2 trains of thought when doing this. In some cases, you can put all of the spice in the melted butter, and then brush the melted seasoned butter all over the protein. I prefer to brush the protein with the ghee or the melted butter first. And another thing with blackening, excuse me, you can also use a vegetable oil if you like. You can, I would recommend using an oil with a high smoke point, not an olive oil. I would use like a grapeseed or even a canola oil. But I prefer to use the butter. Like I said, very high smoke point, and this will allow you to get that nice, even blackened crust. All right. All right. So we're going to reserve some of this ghee, the remainder of it, because we're going to actually get that heating up in the pan to get our blackening going. So nice and buttered up salmon there. And we're just gonna like liberally cover it in our blackening spice. Okay? Liberally. And I mean coat it nice and evenly, of course. And we'll season the skin side of the salmon once we get it flipped. I'm sorry, once we get it into the pan. So I'm only going to worry about seasoning the top of the salmon. And again, hopefully you can see that there. I'm getting it nice and coated with the blackening spice. Feel free to use this as judiciously as you like. Alright? Alright, very good. So now we're ready to get this over to the stove and get blackening. Because we are blackening some salmon with some roasted asparagus today. DJ 12, I'll be right back. Stay tuned. I got more to come. Oh, yeah. All right, so we have gone ahead and put our asparagus in the oven. We set the timer for about 10 minutes. It should be done roasting in about that amount of time. So what we have done after that is we've gotten our cast iron skillet on the stove. We've got it on medium-high heat. Medium-high to high heat. What we're looking for here is, and we've already added the remaining ghee or clarified butter to our pan. So what we're looking for here is, just like when we're pan-searing some chicken or something like that, we're looking for some smoke coming up off the pan and let us know that the pan is hot enough, that the oil is hot enough to serve the purpose that we're wanting it to serve, which is helping to form a fabulous crusty black surface on the top side of our salmon. All right. And in this case, since we're using ghee, we can really crank it up. So in this case, we are looking for not just some wisps of smoke to be coming off the pan, but we want it to be screaming hot, basically. So we're looking for a little bit more smoke. It's starting to smoke right now, and I could probably lay these down and get a nice crust, but we're gonna let it get really, 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 really hot. And we are getting close, very close. Almost there. You may be able to see it in the camera, but in case you can't, just let me tell you, it is starting to get quite smoky. All right. All right. All right, so it's screaming now. We're going to go ahead and get our salmon down. All right. Always lay the protein away from you. And you want to hear that nice, hard sizzle. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So get those into the ghee. And this is going to come together really fast, so just make sure you're keeping an eye on the salmon. And as that blackened crust starts to form, we're going to go ahead and flip it. But before we flip it, we are going to coat the back side with a little bit of butter as well on the skin side. And we're going to season this also. Yeah, I can already tell that the crust is starting to blacken. this is going to come together really quickly. And I told you guys, this is something you can cook on a weekend or a weeknight, of course. That is really quick and easy to come together. A little bit more of the blackening spice on the skin side. And if you're anything like me, you actually like the skin on the salmon. However, you don't have to blacken the skin side if you don't want, because 9 times out of 10 you want to serve this. The presentation is going to be flesh side up, because you get that nice charred blackened crust. However, if you want to serve it skin side up, then I would suggest when you start to blacken it, you blacken it skin side down first. Alright? So now we're going to take our spatula and take a little bit of a peek, because once you put this down, you want to let it go. You don't want to pick it up too soon. But in this case, we got a nice, come on, nice blackened crust. Can you see that? Oh my goodness gracious. Not only do we need smell-o-vision, we need x-ray vision for this one. Oh, Lord have mercy. Forgive my flipping technique. I don't have a fish spatula. But can you see that? Can you see that? Yes. Yes. It is coming together. We are a few steps away from some blackened salmon. And it's a little bit faster to make it to blackening because you're cooking on such a high heat. So the salmon cooks a lot quicker than if you were pan searing it or baking it in the oven. So I can already see. I can lower the heat slightly, because in this case they're just about almost done. They're still a little medium rare in the center, but with the carryover heat, and then after I get the asparagus out, which are nearly done as well, and plate this up, we'll be ready to go, guys. Oh my goodness. We'll be ready to go, guys. Alright, so I'm going to let this go just another couple of minutes, get my asparagus out, and we're going to plate this up and get ready to eat, y'all. It's DJ 12. We blackening today. Holla at your koala. Alright, so we have gotten our asparagus out. It is nice and roasted. Oh, yeah. Nice roast on those. We're going to get these onto our plate. Get those onto our plate. Put that there. Cut that off. Alright, so once we've plated our asparagus, we're going to hit it with a little bit of lemon zest. Just a little bit. Give it a nice, like, bright pop of flavor. You could also grate some Parmesan or put some grated Parmesan on top of the asparagus. That's also a nice, excuse me, I've just done some blackening. It's smoky in here. Just a little bit of lemon zest, give it a nice little pop of flavor there. And we are all set there. Blackened salmon with roasted asparagus. Oh, smell-o-vision, pop of lemon. We ready to go, y'all. Get a good look at that. All right. All right. And that, my friends, is how you do a weekend meal. So, that's going to do it for this episode of 2wlv's Kitchen. blackened salmon, and again, you can blacken just about any protein, chicken breast, catfish, snapper, shrimp. You could blacken veggies, you could blacken your steak. Anything you like, you can blacken, all right? And so I blackened some salmon today with some roasted asparagus. Like I said, I wanted to get in and out of the kitchen really quick. And, you know, save for filming these segments, I got out of the kitchen really, really quick today. It's still daylight. My set's not for another hour and a half. I got plenty of time to eat, chill, relax, and get it done. So, hey, thank you guys so much for viewing this episode of 2wlv's Kitchen. I will be back. Remember to follow 2wlv on Instagram and Twitter at DJ2wlv. Also, if you're interested in viewing my live DJ sets, you can view me on Mixcloud. That is mixcloud.com/DJ2wlv. This is 2wlv saying deuces, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for 2wlv's Kitchen. Oh, one last thing. With your blackening spice, if you're going to make your own blackening spice, just make sure once you put it in a little bowl or something like that, that you seal it and you keep it in a cool, dark, dry place. This will keep for about 6 months as long as you store it properly. All right, so remember that. And I had a great time. Hope you guys did too. We will see you next time for another edition of 2wlv's Kitchen. I had a good time. See you guys later. Peace.